Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's professional development seminar on enhancing instruction with Office 365. Microsoft Office 365, the iconic, the standard, the epitome of personal productivity software, the gold standard for that around the world. Microsoft's Office suite, which is, as I say, the industry standard. It doesn't really get any better. And everyone at the San Diego Community College, all employees and all students, now have access to Office 365, or will very shortly. As I mentioned a moment ago, some of the students don't know they have access to it yet, unless they've just picked it up on the grapevine. But District Information Technology is notifying students in batches right now that they have this. They're set up a support infrastructure for them, and there will be lots of training available for both students and employees. Good question, Kenna. Many people have been using Google Docs for years, and I do get requests from time to time for seminars on that. The thing is that the Microsoft suite more or less duplicates the capability of Google Docs. This is Microsoft's answer to Google Docs, or Google Docs is Google's answer to Microsoft Office 365, and the folks who contract with me to provide these seminars have said that they prefer that I stick to the Microsoft products that are being officially supported by the school. I use Google Docs for some things myself, as a matter of fact, but I think you'll find that the Microsoft product, the level of access you have to the Microsoft products is probably superior to what you have in Google Docs. There's very little that you can do in the Google environment that you can't do in the Microsoft environment. And indeed, the Microsoft environment has a lot of capabilities that are unique to it. But I have asked that question myself, should we do those? And I've been told that that is not something they'd prefer to pay for. So that's the honest answer there. So the question, of course, becomes, okay, we got this wonderful set of resources. How do we get to them? And how can we use them in instruction? Notably, from our standpoint at Online Learning Pathways, how can you use them in instruction in online and web-enhanced courses where you're either using Canvas to deliver the course or using it as a supplement to put information online for your students? Interesting. Let's talk about that when we just the message just popped up there. Let's talk about the issue of downloading and installing the software when we get to that point. And if there's something that doesn't get resolved, we can talk about that one-on-one later. Okay, so first thing you learn about is when you're confronted with a new software system is how to get help for it. Because if you know how to do that, chances are you can figure out most of the other things that you need to know about it. At least it gives you a place to start. And District IT and Online Learning Pathways have provided a support infrastructure that's ready to go and ready for you and your students to use. Notably, there's a SDCCD's District IT has created an Office 365 website. that has all sorts of information about Microsoft Office at the SDCCD, how to access it. It's got training resources, things like that. Here's what that looks like. The link, oh, that reminds me, let me provide you with the link to this slide deck that has the links to these various information pages. You can search for them on the district website as well, but this might give you a little bit of a leg up. I'm going to share this with you. One of the wonderful things about this product is that you can share resources readily with colleagues. And all right, that's good. I'm just going to provide you with the link to this presentation, because I've done this presentation in the PowerPoint 365 that you have access to. And I just need to get that link on my clipboard, and I should have shown you that. Well, I'm going to demonstrate that again later, but let me put that in the chat tool now in Zoom. So you will have that. Okay, that should have just popped up on your screen. You can click on that link. It should be a live link, and my PowerPoint slides will come up in a browser window, and you can bookmark that should you be inclined to do so. All right. This is the Information Technology Microsoft Office 365 website. Tells you a little bit about what you get. Some wonderful stuff. You get web, and some people also get desktop access to, you get web and desktop access to your email. And you get a lot more email storage. You get 10 times the amount of email storage you used to have. So that's going to make it a lot easier to keep your email clean. You can access from any computing device, any computer, laptop, desktop, PC, Mac, and from any, just about any mobile computing device, any Apple, iPhone, iPad, Android, phone, tablet. All of these devices will give you access to your email. And if you load the free apps, the free Microsoft Office apps that are available for mobile devices, you'll have access to the full suite from your mobile devices, and so will the students. And that's pretty critical because a lot of our students are functioning from mobile devices when they go online. Many of them don't have computers anymore, or because of the cost. And you get access to OneDrive, which is Microsoft's cloud file storage. And indeed, OneDrive is sort of the center, the hub of Office 365. Everything feeds documents to it. You can also store documents on your local computers, but if you put your documents on OneDrive, you'll have them wherever you go, and whatever device you access Office 365 from, those same documents will be available. And you can also sync them, it will also by default sync them to the computer that you use most, so that you will have your documents on your local computer if you happen to need to work offline, like your internet connection goes down or something. But you'll also have them in the cloud, securely stored, so that only you have access to them, and so that you can access them from wherever you are, as long as, and whatever device you're using, as long as you have internet access. So that's probably the best part. And you get 1 terabyte. That's 1,000 gigabytes of storage. If we're talking ordinary documents, Microsoft Office documents, that's more documents than you will create in a lifetime by a factor of several. Even if you're a lot younger than I am and have a lot more lifetime yet left, you'll never create that many documents. The only way you're going to fill a terabyte up is with video and extremely large, maybe extremely large PowerPoint files that have lots of high resolution graphics in them and so on. Even then, take you a long time to fill a terabyte. So that is a very generous amount of cloud storage, and every user at the district gets that. And let me reiterate that every user means all faculty, all staff, and all students, all matriculated students, currently matriculated students. So that's a lot of cloud storage for no cost to us. Somebody paying for it, but it ain't us. This Office 365 will work from almost any web browser and any modern web browser. Hopefully nobody's still using Internet Explorer out there. And all current faculty, staff, and students. And there is the IT help desk at ithelp@sdccd.edu to provide you more help at need. Let's put that in the chat. Most of you are probably familiar with that, but let's make sure. ithelp@sdccd.edu. This is where you can get help with Microsoft Office, and among many other things as well. And they're expecting you. And it's, did I mention, free to you. Terrific resource. As I say, the industry standard personal productivity applications for word processing, spreadsheets, and presentations, PowerPoint. All right. So that's one help resource, but only one of several. Online Learning Pathways has a page on their website which describes how to use Office 365 with Canvas, something we're going to spend a lot of time on today, but there is a reference website for later. There's an introductory video there from Microsoft, I believe, how to enable it, how to log on, and guides showing how Office 365 works with Canvas. I'm going to cover most of this today, but you'll have this to refer back to anytime you need it. And that link is on the homepage too, or you can just go to search SDCCD and type in Office 365 and Canvas, and this should come up. There we go. Yep. You can get to it from here, but that's not it. Well, I'm not going to spend time going through those, but you will be able to pull that up under pretty much any circumstances. And finally, whoops, got a little overzealous there. There's also a student resource site where they can go and find out about their email and Office 365 and access it therefrom. And most of the common questions that students will have are dealt with on that page, so you can refer them to that. And again, that link is in the slide deck that I sent you the link to a moment ago. Or, you know, if you ever have any trouble getting to any of that, just send me an email. I'll be happy to help. So the district has done their best to make sure that everyone has help for this, and help that you can access 24/7, 365 through the district web infrastructure. But fortunately, there is a simple answer to the question of how do you access your Office 365 resources from your office or home computers. And it's all done through a web address, through a web page maintained by IT, and using Microsoft resources, called MyApps. You will see links on various different pages to MyApps, but you can always get to it by just going to MyApps, webbing to myapps.sdccd.edu. So I could just click here, or I could just pull up a browser window and type myapps.sdccd.edu, and that will take me to a web page at the district, which gives you some information, tells you what you and the students have access to. These are the major apps, though we'll see that there are others that you also have access to through this system. And all you have to do to get to them is click Go to My Apps at the bottom of this page. You will be asked to log in with your district work Microsoft account. The access credentials for that account include your user ID, which is your district email address, your sdccd.edu email address, which you all should have. If by some mischance you don't, you want to go to IT help at sdccd.edu right now and send them a little message and say, qu'est-ce que c'est? From time to time, you'll be asked to log back in. Once you log into a Microsoft account on a computer, either a PC or a Mac, you tend to stay logged in for a period of time, but over time, that login will expire or whatever. You have to log back in. Again, your user ID is your district email address, and the password, very good, Bibi. Just exactly right. Your password is the password you use to access your email at the district, your portal password. And you just enter that password and sign in, and bada bing, here are your apps that you have access by virtue of being an employee or a student at the district. Let me go back here. And before we go and take a look at those apps individually, well, I'm just going to take a real quick tour through them. I do need to tell you about the tiers of service that we have available at the district. There are 3 tiers. Contract employees, full-time faculty, classified employees, managers, have the top tier of one of the top tiers of Microsoft Office 365 access, which include locally installable apps. Office 365 is really designed as a a web or a cloud-based set of applications that run in a web browser, so that you don't have to install anything on your local computer. However, there's also a tier of service where you can install parts of the applications, parts of Word, Excel, Access, things like that, on your local computer. This can slightly speed access and also give you access to these applications when you're offline, when your internet connection is down or you're away from your internet connection. There are the performance is a little better with the locally installed apps, and they're somewhat more powerful. They have more options in the menus. So this is something you can, so if you have that level of service, you can optionally install a portion of these apps onto your local hard drive. Non-contract employees and adjunct faculty, this includes me as well. I'm just a consultant at this point. I don't get the what they call the A5 level of service. I get A1. And in this case, you'll be using the cloud apps. And they're quite capable. You do pretty much anything you need to do with them. And you don't have to take up space on your computer's hard drive to use them. Not only that, but mobile apps for Microsoft Office are and have been for some time free on both Android and iOS, or Apple devices, iDevices, iPhones, iPads. You can have quite capable mobile versions of these apps on your mobile device. They will have, once you log in on your mobile device to your district work Microsoft account, you'll have access to your OneDrive with the terabyte of storage, and all of the apps that we know, all the apps that have mobile equivalents, and this in the cloud, without having to install anything locally. You do have to load your mobile apps on to your phones or your tablets in order to be able to use this, but it costs you nothing to do so. And they're quite capable. So if you want to go somewhere with your iPad and create Word documents, it's quite possible to do so. And you don't even have to type on the little virtual keyboard on the iPad. You can dictate your input to the Microsoft apps through your microphones. Okay, here are your apps that you have access to by virtue of being an employee or a student at the San Diego Community College District. Let's go to the live screen here that has the actual live apps on it, and just take a quick look through at all the wonderful things that you do have access to. I'm just going to highlight a few of them. Of course, you have the major Microsoft Office. Yes, same password everywhere, because the password is to your Microsoft account. And if you're logged into your Microsoft account, when you go to MyApps, you automatically get this collection of apps. And if you're not logged in, or if for some reason you happen to be logged into a different Microsoft account, it's not uncommon to have a personal Microsoft account associated with your district email address, or you may have another Microsoft account that's associated with an email address that's not your district email address. If you happen to be logged into the wrong Microsoft account on a computer, or not logged into a Microsoft account at all, which is quite possible, especially on a Mac, When you try to access this page, you'll be prompted to log in, and probably you're going to let your browser store those login credentials, your district email address and your email password or your district portal password, and you're going to just go right in, and you'll be able to pull these up anywhere. Okay, there's a good question. I'm an adjunct at another district, and I have access to this from another district. Are my accounts going to link together? I don't think so. I think you're going to have two OneDrives with different credentials, different email addresses as user IDs. I don't think they're going to synchronize with one another, but that is a question I will ask. That's a very good question. It would be nice if they did, Lord knows, but since they're coming from separate organizations, I suspect not. Okay, so we are provided with the major Microsoft Office apps: Excel, notably Excel, PowerPoint, and Word. Those are the biggies, the basics of our personal productivity. But there are lots of other goodies in here that you may not have had access to before. I certainly didn't. I'm going to skip this one over since it's just a special case of another app. But Microsoft Forms. Many of you may have used Google Forms before. I've used them for years. Microsoft Forms are just as good, very similar. You can create surveys, you can create information gathering instruments that people can fill in online, and that you can then access the responses and so on. Works great. Matter of fact, I've got a link that I will share to you at the end of the day here to a Microsoft form where I'm going to ask you to evaluate this seminar if you're so inclined. It is actually, I found it easier, if anything, to use than Google Forms, and I've used Google Forms for years. So I was quite excited about that. Guys, and I'm not going to get into the details of any of these apps because that's something that IT is going to provide training on and opportunity. Indeed, on one of those web pages, you have access to the LinkedIn Learning, which used to be called lynda.com, which has tutorials on everything, just about every piece of software or online resource that you can imagine, and quite a few you can't without seeing it in advance. And there will be tons of training available on things like this, but I just want you to have an idea of what you have out there so that you know to go looking for that sort of thing. Kaizala is a enhanced chat tool. If any of you use Slack, for instance, or Zoom chat, this is Microsoft's equivalent of those sorts of things, where you can chat asynchronously with people online and share documents and videos and text-based information and so on. It's chat on a massive dose of steroids. There's a lists app like to-do lists and other types of lists that will allow you to create endless numbers of lists. This one is not really germane right now, but the core to the whole thing, to the whole system, is OneDrive. This is where Microsoft assumes you're going to store all of your documents and all the things that you create. And as I mentioned earlier, you get 8 terabyte of storage space there, so you're unlikely to create more stuff than you can than your OneDrive will hold. And this is one way on the MyApps page, one way you can access OneDrive, but there are lots of other ways that you can get into your OneDrive as well, and we'll take a look at that as we go on. OneNote is at core. Yeah, indeed, Kenna. OneDrive, if you save your docs on OneDrive, you'll always have access to them, no matter where you are. And they're securely backed up. If you store all your documents on your local computer, like I've been doing for years, and you don't keep it backed up, and one day the god of thunder comes and throws a lightning bolt at your house and blows your computer to a bunch of smoking transistors, those documents are gone. I've certainly lost some over the years, and none of us are perfect at backups. But if you put your docs on OneDrive, they are backed up. You don't have to worry about it. Nothing short of a major thermonuclear exchange would wipe out your docs that are stored on OneDrive. And if you, maybe not even that, because if you recall, BBL, that's a good question. I'll answer that in a minute. If you recall, the internet arose from a project by the Defense Advanced Research Project Agency that was intended to design a communication system that would survive a massive thermonuclear war. So probably your OneDrive documents are going to be safe. You're going to have other problems, but your OneDrive documents will be safe. And BB, no one else has access to your OneDrive except you. As far as I know, it's possible that some super administrator at the district could get in. And of course, the people that manage the system at Microsoft would certainly have some access, but no way that any one of your colleagues or a student or anyone would ever be able to access your OneDrive. It's as secure as anything in the cloud. That said, once it goes into the cloud, probably an administrator somewhere has access to it, but that's life. But let's face it, none of us are interesting enough or powerful enough for anybody to want to break into our documents, right? OneNote is a note-taking application. If you haven't used it before, it's cute, handy, an easy way to share documents and so on as well. Planner and Project are kind of a team here. They are project or task planning apps. Planner is the lightweight version that doesn't require a severe effort to learn. Project is the thing that you could run the US government off of. It's a huge project planning thing. It's been around for years. There is something of a learning curve, but they decided they needed something a little lighter weight in Planner. So those are quite powerful. If you've got a major project going and you're working with a team to carry out some long-term project, these two apps will be of very good use to you. And they're quite, particularly Project is quite expensive if you have to buy it separately. So this is really some serious capability that they're giving you here. Power Apps allows you to create your own apps if you're so inclined and you're kind of an IT-ish kind of person. And Power Automate allows you to automate tasks in Windows and within the Microsoft environment. I don't expect that I'll ever use those, but it's nice to know they're there. PowerPoint, we've already mentioned. SharePoint is Microsoft's web hosting service. You can create websites at SharePoint and share those with people all over the world. And you can put all sorts of content in there. People can access your content and so on. It's kind of like a massive web server that you have access to. Stream is a video hosting and creation tool. Think Canvas Studio. It's very similar in capability. You can create video of all sorts in Stream and host it there and share it from there with your students or other colleagues or clients. It's seems to work quite well. I've played with it a bit, created a few videos, stored a few videos there. Like I say, it's quite similar in concept to Canvas Studio. There's one thing about it I'm a little less enamored of, and that's if you're going to share something that's stored in Stream on the internet, either through Canvas or through an email or through another website or something like that, only people who are part of our SDCCD group or community on Microsoft Office will be able to access them. That would have been a real problem before the students got access. The students are now part of our group here at the district. So you could share content that you have created or stored in Stream with your students. But they have to be logged into their Microsoft accounts in order to view it, which can be a little problematic. Some may have trouble with that. So I'm not as excited about Stream as I might have otherwise been, given that the district is paying for it and it's not going to go away. We have to fight for Canvas Studio each year to keep it funded, where this is something that's funded through the basic Microsoft, by IT, through the basic Microsoft Office 365 project, and is much less likely to disappear. There are, of course, free alternatives to both Stream and Canvas Studio, but Stream is interesting. If you're of a video creating persuasion, I recommend you look at it. It's actually a pretty good tool. I'd also recommend you look at something that's not part of this Office 365 infrastructure, which I did a session on. No way to give them links to videos in this like Zoom. No, you can give them links to videos in Stream. And you can put your Zoom recordings into Stream as well. But the students have to be in our Microsoft Office group, which they will be, or already are, in fact. But they'll also have to be logged into their Microsoft accounts in order to watch it. If they try to access a video that you've stored in Stream, then you provided them a link to, they'll be prompted to log into their Microsoft account. But if they have problems with that, if that confuses them or whatever, then they won't be able to get to the content. Whereas if you put your stuff in Canvas Studio, put your videos onto Canvas Studio or YouTube, the students don't have to be logged in. No, it's not just available to students if they're registered in the class. It's available to them if they are fully matriculated students and they've been at the district, it's either 2 or 3 semesters, within the last 2 or 3 semesters. They don't lose access immediately if they don't take a class one semester.
So I have a question.
Yes, go right ahead.
So then, if the students attend our ESL class, then they can still, and they finish, then they can still have it?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Forever?
Until they have graduated or ceased going to the district for, I think it's 2 semesters. I think they get 2 full semesters before their access is disabled. But then if they come back later, they'll get that same access back again, and all of their data and so on that they may have stored will still be there.
Okay.
Okay, so and now not talking specifically about stream, excuse me, stream now, but the Microsoft Office in general, if students create content in Microsoft Office 365 and put it into OneDrive and make sure that their OneDrive is synchronized with their computer, the files are also copied to their computer, so that they have a copy, a local copy of their files to which they'll never lose access. And this would be true for faculty as well. If you left the district and after 2 semesters, they pull your Microsoft Office access, as long as you synchronized everything to your local computer, then you have copies of all those files anyway.
Or in OneDrive.
Well, yeah, but you could lose access to your district OneDrive on the cloud after, I think it's 2 semesters. I think the students get 3 and we get 2. And of separation before your account is inactivated. Your data would be stored, but you wouldn't have direct access to OneDrive in the cloud anymore, but the synchronized files on your hard drive would still be there. So you don't have to worry about losing access to the critical files if you take a job somewhere else or retire.
Or I can just save all my docs on my OneDrive.
Yes, and you can continue to save stuff to your personal OneDrive as well. Sway is a newsletter creation application that allows you to produce really cool print and online newsletters. Microsoft Teams, which employees, faculty and staff have access to now, is Microsoft's answer to Zoom. It's a video conferencing and meeting system, though it's more than that. It's also a chat tool, a project tool, and so on. It's an environment of communication tools built around the video conferencing application, Microsoft Teams. That's one that's going to be a lot more useful to us when students gain access to it. Right now, students do not have access to Teams, and it's probably going to be sometime in spring semester before they do. So we really can't recommend Teams as a means of holding class sessions, synchronous class sessions right now, and in lieu of Zoom. Because students who do not have access to Teams, the Teams environment themselves, can attend a Teams meeting, but they can't participate fully. For instance, they don't have access to the chat tool and things like that in Teams. So we're not presenting Teams as an alternative to Zoom just yet, but it will be. And people will have that as an option, or they can, as far as I know, Zoom is not going away anytime in the foreseeable future, but Teams would be an alternative, which is more tightly integrated with the rest of the Microsoft Office 365 infrastructure, and will give you capabilities that may be a little easier to use than Zoom. So, so that may be something you want to consider in the future. Visio. Gosh, I haven't had a copy of Visio in 20 years. Visio is a marvelous flow charting and organization charting tool. You can create org charts and flow charts and other similar sorts of documents with Visio, and you have a good access to, or you have access to the Visio 365 app. Microsoft Whiteboard is a marvelous shared whiteboard. As a matter of fact, I think it's probably the best one we have access to at this point for free. I just did a session on whiteboarding in Zoom the other day, and you can use the Microsoft Whiteboard within Zoom. It's a shared whiteboard. Everybody can draw on it at once if you allow that, and you can present information that way. You can do brainstorming sessions. It has sticky notes, the virtual sticky notes and things like that. Marvelous whiteboarding, an alternative to a physical whiteboard in a classroom or a conference room. And it works great. As I say, I think it's probably the best one we have access to right now. And we did cover that in our session on whiteboarding the other day, whose recording will be up online shortly. Word, of course, the #1 app that we all use more than any other. Don't have to say much about that. Yammer is an unlovely name for Microsoft's social media tool. Think Facebook, WhatsApp, Twitter, all the things like that, all kind of rolled into one. It's not one of the more popular social media applications out there, one of the more adapted. You rarely hear pejorative news articles about Yammer, but it is available and can be used in a fairly safe educational environment. You're not likely to have white supremacists posting on Yammer, at least not as much as some of the others and so on. So it's a safer haven for that sort of thing if you want to use a tool like that in your instruction. And then finally, there's a Zoom icon here. Zoom, this is just a link to the Zoom website. If I click on that, it just takes me to Zoom. A little redirection takes me to zoom.us. It's a convenience. You don't get anything for accessing Zoom this way that you don't normally have, but you can sign in here with your credentials for your SDCCD Zoom account. It just gives you a convenient way to pull up Zoom, the Zoom website, from MyApps. So that's the nickel tour, the 10,000-foot view of the apps that you have access to through the district in Office 365. And it's quite a nice, powerful, and extensive collection of apps, more than you would have by far if you just contracted for Microsoft Office on your own. So this is it's a good deal. And all accessible through MyApps, the MyApps page at the district, which is just myapps.sdccd.edu. Right there, myapps.sdccd.edu. That's how you get in. That's by far the easiest way to get in. All right, let's say you've gotten in, you've logged in, you've been able to open up Word, Excel, PowerPoint, or one of the other locations, one of the other apps that allows you to create and save documents. Where do they go? How do you save them? Basic fundamental that we need to be comfortable with. By default, when you access your Microsoft Office applications through MyApps, when you say, unless you tell Microsoft or tell the application otherwise, your documents will automatically be saved to your work or your sdccd.edu OneDrive. For instance, let's go back and pull up Word here. From MyApps. Oops, sorry, that's the wrong one. There we go. We'll go to MyApps and pull up Word. It opens in a web browser tab. And the MyApps page sends you to the online version, the web or cloud version of Word. If you want to access a locally installed version, you're probably going to do it through your menus, either on the ribbon on the Mac or the your start menu or your desktop icons on a Windows PC. But here we're going into Word on the web, the online version, which everyone has access to. And if I wanted to start a new document in Word, I just click here where it says new blank document. Hard to miss that. And Word opens up, and this is what the cloud version of Word looks like. The menus or the ribbons are fairly familiar. And if I decide, if I create a document here, don't have to create much of one to illustrate this. Created in the cloud Word app. Not sure what that word was. There we go. All right, how do I save this? Well, I didn't have to do anything. Look where what it says up here. Word document 3 saved. This will save your document to OneDrive as you create it. Every time you stop typing for a second, it saves what you've done. Every time you stop for a minute with what you're doing with that document, it saves it right away. It will provide a default name at first, but if you just click on the name that it gives you, usually document number something, you can immediately change that to my Word document. 9/19/2022, just so I remember when I created this. And it will save this to your OneDrive. Press enter, that name changes, and now it's saved to OneDrive. So you're not ever going to get caught in one of these situations where you're working on a document for half an hour and you forget to save it and the power goes off and boop, it's gone. That's not going to happen. One of the great advantages of using OneDrive. So if you want a copy on your local computer, you can get it. Can we paste a syllabus into a Word doc to be saved to OneDrive? Sure. If we go to File, to the File menu, let's do that again, App. Go back to I jumped out of the document inadvertently. That's okay. It was still in OneDrive. I just jumped back into it. If I go to the File menu, there's a Save As link in the File menu, and I can download a copy to my computer. But you don't really have to do that if you have your OneDrive set up appropriately, because Microsoft will, in a few minutes, automatically up as you save a new document, or as Office 365 saves a new document to your OneDrive, that will synchronize over the next few minutes to all of your physical devices that you have logged in to your Office 365 account. So if you have a computer at home and a computer in the office and a cell phone or a smartphone and an iPad or another tablet, and you have the OneDrive apps on all of them, and you have OneDrive set, which is, near as I can tell, is the default behavior, to synchronize these across the internet. As soon as those connect to the internet, as long as they stay connected to the internet for a little while, all this gets synchronized automatically. So you'll have copies of this document, not only in the cloud at OneDrive.com, but also on all of your devices, so that no matter where you are or what device you're using, you can access these documents. And if you're somewhere off at a conference or something like that, or using somebody else's machine, you can always access these files through the web at OneDrive.com. And then you log into your OneDrive account and boom, they'll be there. So you'll never be without your documents again if you save them to OneDrive. And they're absolutely secure. Not only can no one else get into them, but you're not going to lose them unless, like I say, somebody nukes Microsoft, and even then they're backed up so many places. There's no way realistically that even Vladimir Putin could destroy your documents. You'd have a lot more to worry about long before that happened. You can also download the documents as a PDF. So this will convert them to an Adobe Acrobat Reader document if you want that. Or ODT is the open office document format. It's a free personal productivity suite that many students and many faculty have used over the years as an alternative to Microsoft Office. It's popular enough that Microsoft recognizes that you might want to have an open office writer document as well. So you can get these manually to your local hard drive, or you can just wait for them to synchronize. Well, that's how you, yes, go ahead.
Sorry, I was kind of all along scared of synchronizing. No problem synchronizing.
No. I have mine synchronizing all the time. It uses a little bit of bandwidth, but the idea or the advantage of having your documents wherever you go, in your pocket on your phone, you know, which stays connected to the network, to the internet almost all the time anyway. You know, it's a great way to make sure you have access to your documents wherever you are or whatever device you're using.
So if I synchronize my laptop with the OneDrive, everything in my laptop would be copied to OneDrive.
Yeah.
And vice versa?
Yeah, it goes both ways. If you create a document on your laptop and then you put it into your OneDrive folder on your laptop, unless you've told OneDrive not to, it will then automatically upload that document to the cloud, to OneDrive.com. In the background, you'll never know it's happening. There may be a little icon in your taskbar down at the bottom of your screen that shows a little twirling set of arrows if you happen to look for it, but it will synchronize automatically. And once it goes to the web, if you have other devices like your smartphone or your iPad or whatever that also have the OneDrive app on them, it will automatically bring the document down to them. So you'll have a copy there. So the chances of you ever losing a document again are infinitesimally small, or losing access to it for even a limited period of time, unless you happen to go out in the woods and your smartphone battery dies. Then you're on your own. Maybe that's not a bad thing sometimes.
So you recommend synchronizing?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I see no realistic risk to it.
Like a personal, document, I was kind of afraid to put it up there. Yeah.
I'm sure there are documents that you'd probably rather not include in that, and you can exclude documents from the school stuff. I wouldn't put personal financial information.
Just the school stuff. Do you mind showing briefly how to synchronize?
Yeah.
Is it off
I will.
from the lesson?
We're gonna
maybe later.
Yeah, we're going to take a look at OneDrive here in just a minute, indeed. There's in fact a little button at the top of the screen that says sync. That's all there is to it. Though it does it automatically anyway. You can force a sync, but it'll catch up at some point anyway. Okay, so that's how we can save document. Let's go back to, we can save a copy to our hard drive using the File Save As button. And that's what that looked like. We just saw that. And if you have the apps installed locally, if you have Word, Excel, PowerPoint installed on your local computer, you can save either to OneDrive or to your local computer. And if something has been created and sent to OneDrive, you can also save a copy from the file menu to your local computer. But again, if you have OneDrive synchronizing, you really don't have to worry about it. You just have to wait a few minutes for the synchronization to complete. And it will always just run that automatically. Whenever you create new documents anywhere, they'll be spread everywhere within your Microsoft, everywhere, or to all devices that are logged into your Microsoft account. It will go to it. So it's a marvelous way to keep track safely of your documents, but again, intensely personal documents like personal financial information, things that you don't want to take any chance of them becoming public, then maybe you wouldn't want to put those in OneDrive, though they should be perfectly safe, quite frankly. But I don't do that. I keep those on a local computer, which could get blown up someday. And I try to make sure I keep them backed up to an external hard drive or whatever, but they're probably safer in OneDrive, quite frankly. Another wonderful thing about this is that you can share documents that are created in these Office applications and or stored on OneDrive. You can share them with colleagues, with friends, with family, with students where appropriate. And you have a great deal of control over the degree of sharing. You can collaborate very easily with colleagues and with students, or students can collaborate with one another on documents that are shared between a group of people in a number of different ways. The documents can be shared as editable so that everybody who has access to the document can make changes to it at the same time or at different times. Or you can share them as view only, so that people can look at them and read them or view them, appreciate them, but not change them, not edit them. You can set it up so that anyone with the link that you create for the document, or that OneDrive creates for you, and anyone that you share that link with can either edit or view the document. Or you can share with specific people only, as long as those people are in your Office group. In other words, they're colleagues or they're students who have access to our SDCCD.edu Microsoft Office environment. You can share with specific people. And if you do that, you can prevent those people, indeed, OneDrive, Office 365 will automatically prevent those people with whom you share the document you created from sharing it with anyone else. So you retain control over who can see and or edit that document and other people can't pass that along to someone you're not aware of. So it's a very secure environment. It's a very secure collaborative environment, better secured than many other options for this sort of thing. Okay. So how do you do that? Well, it's dirt simple. Let's go back to that Word document we were into a minute ago. If I want to share that with someone, I've got a share button up here at the upper right. And I can just click this blue share button, and I can click share below that. First thing I can do is decide who I want to share this with and what they can do once I share it. If I click this link right here, I have this set right now. People in our group in Microsoft Office with the link can edit. But if I click that, I have lots of options here. I can say anyone with the link, and that would go even outside. So if you're collaborating with a colleague who's not part of our Microsoft Office group, you can still share this document with. Or you can share only with people within our group. Again, faculty, staff, students, people who already have access. Or you can share with specific people. If you select that and apply that, you can then just search for people with whom you want to share this. So if I wanted, let's see who's here. Helen. I wanted to share with Helen this document. I can search for her. There she is. There's Helen. Be sure that Microsoft knows who you are and where you are.
That's cool.
Yeah, cool. If not a little creepy, right? So if I wanted to share those with Helen, I just click and add Helen, and I could keep adding people and search for them. And then I just send the link, and Helen, so a link to this document is sent to Helen. I can't remember if I had that. Yeah, I think I left you with editing capability, Helen. Pretty simple. If a common option here is people with the link in SDCCD.edu. And then I can also determine whether once the person has access to this document, what they can do with it. They can edit it, or they can view it and make suggestions for changes, but changes that are not implemented unless I okay them as the owner of the document, or I can just let people view it and not edit it or suggest changes. So those are the three levels of access that I can grant. And all I have to do is pick the one that I want. And let's see, nope, and downloading is blocked by default. So I can then just apply that. Now I have a link. I can select specific people, or I have a link that I can share. I just copy that link to my clipboard, and I can share that document then with everybody who's in the meeting by just putting this in the chat tool. Doc link. Now I just shared it with everybody here. Of course, I could email that to them. I could put that in a link in Canvas. If I had a group of students that I wanted to collaborate on a particular document, I could create the document and give them edit access and share the link just with the people I want to be able to do this. So that allows me that gives me positive control over who can access the document and what they can do. if I just share it by link. If you are, and I just saw Helen pop up there. Cool. If Helen, I think I gave you edit access, so you could just type something in the document. If you do that, one thing I'm a little less, one thing that's a little different from Google Docs, where you can do things like this as well, is that I don't see changes made to the document that I didn't make until I click this catch up button here. That's catch up, CATCHUP. I don't necessarily see changes until I hit catch up, but there, Helen just edited that document. So we can, if you've got a report due, you're part of a work group and you've got a report due, and you, rather than sending different versions of the document back and forth and so on, you can all work on it together at the same time or asynchronously at different times. And then eventually, and any of you at any time could print it out, to look at it and have a paper copy of it, or share it with, depending on how the settings were set, you might be able to share it with someone else and so on, or turn it in or email it to someone or whatever. So it's a wonderful collaborative environment. And that's probably the greatest strength of the Office 365 system, is this collaborative capability, which again is comparable to what you have in Google Docs. But this environment is supported by the district, by district IT, within Canvas. It's supported by online learning pathways. So this is a more secure and reliable option for you at the SDCCD. All right, let's see, is there anything else? No, pretty much covered that. Let's take a look at, no, don't want to do that right now. Let's go look at OneDrive for a second, since that's the center of all this. Let's go to MyApps. Let's just go to myapps.sdccd.edu. It should know who I am already. And go to MyApps. And go to OneDrive. All right, this is my district, my work OneDrive. I've got a few files in there. And these are, I can share from here if I wish. I can make this anyone with the link. Can edit. This is a picture. I don't care about that. Apply that. Copy the link. Put the link in the chat tool. And that's all there is to sharing a document from, or emailing it to someone, or putting a link to it in Canvas. That's all there is to sharing a document. I can select a document. I've got a context menu here. I can download a copy of this document, though that's already happened automatically in my case. I can share it. I can manage access if I need to make changes in that regard. I can delete the document from OneDrive if I like. So I can manage, oops, want to do that. Manage my documents. I can change the display. I can sort the documents by name, by date. I'm sorry, by name, by type of document. I want all my Word documents in one place and all my videos in another place, all my PowerPoint presentations in another place. I can search for documents by the file name and see recent files that I've opened up. Doing that, I can create new documents, and I can create any of the documents that I have that created by the apps for which to which I have access. I can upload files that I've created from other that I have on my local hard drive or on a thumb drive or an external hard drive or whatever that I want to put into my OneDrive. But I can also access my files in OneDrive through my file manager on my computer. I'm on a Windows machine here, so I can bring up my File Explorer in the usual way. And in my list of storage locations here in File Explorer, because I have loaded, well, if you have Windows 10 or above, you automatically have the OneDrive app. It's loaded on your computer. It's part of the operating system. If you have an older Windows or an older Windows operating system, or if you use a Mac, you have to load the OneDrive app manually. That's one drawback to doing this on a Mac. You have to load OneDrive manually. You only have to do it once, but you do have to load it manually. And there are lots of tutorials on how to do that. It's just a normal app. You just search in your Mac App Store for OneDrive and load it in the usual way. And then when you access it the first time, you'll be prompted to log into your Microsoft account. If you're not already logged into it on that computer, you may well be. If you use Office there, or if you use Outlook email or something, you may already be logged in to your Microsoft account on your Mac. But if you're not, you'll be prompted to log in. Then you'll have access to your OneDrive and your files will be there. But here on in my file manager, I have both my personal OneDrive, which you may have as well, and my work OneDrive. And if I go into that, here are all my files. And here I can see the status of those files. If there's a green check mark, that file is, or that folder, in this case, or these files, are synchronized everywhere. So everywhere that I have, they're synchronized with OneDrive.com, with the cloud storage. So I know these files are here. I have a local copy, and I have them in OneDrive. And if I make a change here, that'll automatically be synchronized. If there's a little cloud icon next to it, then those are only in the cloud. And they're not taking up space on your local hard drive. But you can change that. So if I want to delete a file from everything, I can just, so let me find something I can do without here. D. Yeah, this is some junk here. Want to get rid of that file, I can just either right click on it and delete it, or I can just hit the delete key on my keyboard. Hit the delete, having selected it, I can hit the delete key on the keyboard. And now it's available only in the cloud. If I, let's see, what if I delete this again? Deleting an online-only file permanently removes it from your PC without sending it to the recycle bin. Yeah, I want to do that. And now, bang, it's gone from everywhere. And that change will percolate through the entire infrastructure, and that file will be history. And it won't be taking up space on my other devices and so on. Oh yeah, you get this warning here. Deleted files are removed everywhere. You can restore them from your OneDrive recycle bin within the next 93 days. And after that, they are lost and gone forever, my darling Clementine. And there's the one that I recently deleted. And I can open my recycle bin and get it back if I made a bad decision. I don't need that one. I just say, got it. It's in my recycle bin. That doesn't count against my 1 terabyte of storage, and it'll just eventually disappear. And I don't care. That was some piece of junk that I just left in there. But you've got so much storage, you don't have to be real anal retentive about removing files right away. You're not going to, unless you're storing large amounts of video on this, or incredibly large PowerPoint very large numbers of incredibly large PowerPoint presentations, you are not going to lose, you're not going to run out of space. But just to give you some perspective, in a Canvas course shell, you get 2 gigabytes of storage. Your OneDrive has 1,000 gigabytes of storage. And you know how much you can store in that Canvas shell. This is much, much, much bigger. So the OneDrive is much, much bigger. A terabyte is a truly amazing amount of storage. Okay, so that's how we can manage, that's how we can access OneDrive. Unless you go to some trouble, that synchronization will happen automatically. But if you're not sure that something's been synchronized, you can always go into OneDrive from your file manager and click sync. And it says, we're syncing your files. You can close this and they'll continue to sync in the background. And that will complete at some point in time. And I didn't have enough to sync there that it wasn't already synced, that I'm looking over at my little icon and it's not even telling me that it's working on it. It's already done the sync. So this is just a marvelous environment. One that makes it very hard to lose your documents or to have them inadvertently deleted. And yet it keeps them secure so that only you can access them. Okay. Next topic. If you are fortunate enough to have access to I think they call it the A5 level of Microsoft, the Office 365, you can also install your major applications on your local hard drive. This slightly improves their performance, their speed of response, and it gives you some extra capability that you don't have if you're restricted to just the cloud versions of the app. Unless you're like a clerical worker creating complex Word documents, things like that, or someone teaching Microsoft Office, that's not likely to be an issue. The cloud versions of the apps are extremely powerful. The installation process, if you decide to do that, is a little different. You have to access, as near as I can tell, you have to access Office 365 in a slightly different way. And the best way I know to get to that point is to open up a web browser And on the location line of the web browser, just type office.com. Now, if you know anything about domain names, that's, that was probably one of the first half dozen domain names that were created when the internet was, right after the Big Bang, when the internet was just in its infancy. I cannot imagine what Microsoft had to pay for that, because I'm sure they didn't think to reserve that domain name right off the bat. And I don't know, maybe they did, but probably not. They probably had to pay somebody about $1 gajillion for it who registered it for something else. But that's an easy URL to remember. That's why those are so valuable. If you go to office, if you type office.com and press enter, you go to the sort of the mothership of Office 365. We have lots of other ways to access the apps that we have access to, though this is another way to do it. And see, because I'm logged into my SDCCD work account, Microsoft account, it knows that I'm associated with the San Diego Community College District. If I did not see that, I could log out of this and log back in to my work account, though probably you're going to spend most of your time logged into your work accounts anyway. And that even survives a reboot on the device, on the computer or on the mobile device. If you're logged in, you'll stay logged in. It will log you back in automatically when you boot back up, in all probability. If you're not logged into any Microsoft account, when you go to this website, you'll be prompted to either create a new Microsoft account or log into one. You click the login button and you'll enter your district email address and your district email password, and bing, you'll end up right here. I have access to the most common apps immediately. I have access to more by clicking this apps button here. That doesn't include quite everything that's available under MyApps, however, and I'm not quite sure why. I know I can go to MyApps and get more stuff, but here I'm happy enough. And if I have the access to Office 365 that allows me to install apps locally, I have this button right here. And if I click on that button, instead of getting other install options, it starts installing them on my local computer. Here I'm logged in with an account. My work account does not have the access to download, to install the Office apps locally. To get that, I had to pay for it in my personal account so that I'd have something to show you all, and I needed them for personal use anyway. So I didn't get them from the district either. Don't feel lonely if you're in that group. I ended up I'm having to pay $100 a year to Microsoft to make it possible for my wife and myself both to have locally installable apps. You get up to five people can do that if you pay for the family plan. I think it's about $60 a year if it's just a single, if it's just for you. But the installation process is very quick, very simple. It takes place automatically. And within just a few minutes, you will have access to the locally stored or locally installed versions of the apps. To access those, because if you access your Office 365 through the MyApps link, you're going to the cloud versions. Even if you have as I do, have the locally installed versions on your computer, you're going to go to the cloud versions. And chances are that's going to be all you need anyway. So you may seldom actually bring up your locally installed versions, but you can do that and here I'm going to need to share my my main screen with you through Zoom. Yeah. All right, let me make sure I've got the right thing shared. Yup. Now I've got my Windows taskbar down here. I can go to my Windows Start button and I can find my locally installed apps through there. There's Word, PowerPoint, Excel, Teams, OneDrive. These are the locally installed versions of these apps. You may also have desktop icons for some of these, and that would be true on a Mac as well as a PC. Or you may, on Windows, you may have them in your taskbar at the very bottom of the screen. Like I've got Excel down there because I use Excel all the time, and PowerPoint. I don't have Word. I don't use Word as much as I used to, so I didn't put that in my taskbar down here. I can and all these little icons will give me access to my locally installed versions of these apps, and so would the desktop icons if I had those. So what's the advantage? Well, let's take a look at Word and see what the difference is if you have Word, locally installed Word versus the web app or the cloud app. Let me bring up Word here. Interface looks a little different. Let me just pull up a document here at random. And the menu is, the ribbons are pretty extensive. Okay. I have this is the full, complete Microsoft Word with all the menu options. The vast majority of which most of us never use. If, on the other hand, I access Word, and let me kill my share and show you a different screen. Yeah, this is here I am accessing the cloud versions. Let me go to MyApps and get it from there. Go to MyApps. If I access Word from here, it looks different. I can pull up that same document, and the document looks exactly the same, but the menus do not. This is the ribbon for, and let me zoom out a little bit on that so you can see this a little better. I've got everything, pretty much everything I need, but not the complete enchilada. If you're a Word power user, you may not be terribly satisfied with this. But here it's real easy to share the document too, though I can do that from my locally installed apps as well. And the ribbons are much less extensive. But again, you have just about everything you're likely to use under the vast majority of circumstances. So there again is go to the home ribbon again in Word. There's the online version. And here is the full version. So those are your distinctions. And we've just compared the two. All right, we're getting close here. I want to spend the rest of the time talking about how this works with Canvas. Right, just to give you an overview here, you will find in your course menus or at least available to you in your course menus, an Office 365 link. And it says just that, Office 365. The integration with Canvas gives you the option to link Office 365 documents in the rich content editor when you're creating a Canvas page or something like that. You can link Office 365 documents into Canvas modules. Students who have their own Microsoft Office can submit assignments, documents that they need to submit to you to a Canvas assignment to fulfill that assignment from their OneDrive, from their Microsoft Office 365. And you can set up collaborations for students to participate in through Canvas. Let's see how that works real quick. Oh, let's see. Yeah. Go. We bring up Canvas. I'm already logged in. I'll go to this Canvas tutorial sandbox course here. Go to a Canvas module. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong one. Forgive me. I'm logged in as a student there. I'll need that one in a minute. Let me pull up my me login. And let me make sure I'm logged in. This is probably logged me out. So let me log back in to be sure I'm active. And go to Canvas, go to that Canvas tutorial sandbox course. Go to my module. If I am creating a page in Canvas, in the usual way, I can create pages a couple of different ways. We're going to call this Office 365 demo. Too many E's there. Demo 9/19/2022, just so I don't have a duplicate file somewhere. I can pull that page up and edit it. And among the many things I can do in the rich content editor to this page is I can go to the electric cord icon here, the apps icon, so-called, and view all of my external tools that I have access to, one of which is Office 365. If I do that, that gives me access to my OneDrive. And indeed, this integration with Canvas is basically an integration with OneDrive. So I have access to OneDrive. If I want to put this PowerPoint presentation, a link to this PowerPoint presentation into a Canvas page or an Canvas announcement or a Canvas discussion post or any sort of document that I can create using the Canvas rich content editor, I just select the document I want to link in, and I click Attach File. And I now have a link to that document in this page. If I save the page and publish it, and go back to my module, here it is. If I click on that, there's my page. And anybody viewing this page can access that document by clicking on the link to it. It gives you this little bit of hassle about having to load this in a new window, fine. But there's PowerPoint coming up. We'll give it a second. And there it is. There's my Microsoft PowerPoint. I've accessed it And anybody who clicks on that link in Canvas can then access this PowerPoint. So that's one thing you can do in Canvas. You can put a link to a document that's stored in your OneDrive. And again, you know, in your OneDrive. And the other people will be able to access that document by clicking on the link to it. So it gives you another way to share these documents. I can also go to the module and I can put a link to a document that's in my OneDrive directly into a module. Only you can do this, only you can create, only faculty can create modules, but I can add an item to my module. I can add something from an external tool. Office 365 is an external tool from Canvas's viewpoint. I select external tool and I get a list of all the external tools I have available to me in our Canvas system, which is quite extensive. And there's Office 365. That again will bring up my OneDrive. It takes a second because this is going back and forth across the internet, and my internet connection is doing quite a lot right now. It's sending this to you all, and it's also communicating with OneDrive, but there it is. And I can just find another document here. Another PowerPoint presentation. That's mostly what I have in there. And attach that file and add the item to my module. And there's a link to that PowerPoint right in the module. And if I publish it, anybody can come along and students can come along, have to publish the module too. Then somebody can click on that link. You're going to get that same nasty little message about can't be viewed within this page, loading a new page. So it opens up a new browser tab, and there it is. And this time it's editable. Well, potentially, if I've designed it to be editable or set it up to be editable, it is. Yeah. So I can put that in a module. Let me refresh my memory. I can link into modules. I didn't show you the Office 365 link in the course menu. Come on. There we go. You will probably just see this link in your course menu. If you don't see it there, you can go to your settings link in your course menu in Canvas, and you can go to the navigation tab. And if you don't see Office 365 up here, you'll find it down here somewhere. And you can just drag it up above the line. Click and drag it and save the change. And that Office 365 link will then be available in your course menu. This will allow you to access your OneDrive and the students to access their own. Because when you click on that Office 365 button, it will access the OneDrive of whoever's logged in to their Microsoft account on this device, which would be the student if it were their computer. They would see their OneDrive and then they can manage OneDrive from there, or they can access their OneDrive files from there and pull them up. So again, this Microsoft Office Canvas integration is really a Canvas OneDrive integration. All right. We've already linked them into Canvas modules. Students Remember, they have their own OneDrive. They may have created many documents in their own OneDrive. If you provide them with an assignment that requires them to upload a file to satisfy the assignment, they can upload that file directly from their OneDrive without having to download it to their local computer and then upload it in the usual way to the Canvas assignment. Let's see what that looks like. Find that window here. Oh, right. Nope, that's not the one I wanted. Sorry. Ah, there it is. Trying to find that new window. I can log into Canvas. And now I'm logged in as a student, notably Rocky the Flying Squirrel. And I can go to this Canvas tutorial sandbox. And I can look for an assignment. I'd probably find it in a module. I'm just going to short circuit that because I can find it more quickly this way. Here's an assignment that this student, that is active for this student. It hasn't expired. Student can access the assignment the usual way, and there's a start assignment button. This is all standard Canvas submitting assignments stuff. But now, unlike previously, among the places the student can upload files from, which were their local computer, Canvas Studio, Google Drive before, now they have Office 365 as an option. I can click there, and that will open up their OneDrive. This student's OneDrive probably looks a lot like mine because this student is my alter ego. I've got it set up. Since I'm on this computer, I'm logged in with my Microsoft account. This account, the student account in Canvas, has access to my OneDrive. That would not be a problem for you. And now the student can pick any of these files that they want to upload. He said, and attach the file. I don't want to do that one. Let's cancel and start again and go to Office 365. Find something that's a little more identifiable. That one, and attach the file. And then submit the assignment. Canvas is currently, you can processing your submission. You can safely navigate away. We'll email you if the submission fails to process. That message shows up because this doesn't happen just instantly like it would if the file were stored on a local hard drive. It takes it a minute. So I'll just okay that. And bada bing, I think that went through. We can find out. I can now go to the defined screencasting assignment for, that was test student 1 in my account. That's here. I'm logged in as me. I can go to the grade book. I can find that assignment in my grade book. I can search for it. Since I've got a ton of assignments there. There it is, define screencasting. Test 1 has a submission. I go to the speed grader in the usual way in Canvas. And if I wait for a minute, because remember, this is having to pull this file off of OneDrive. Bada bing. There's the file that that student just submitted from Office 365. There it is in your speed grader. You have your annotation tools. All the usual feedback options, the ability to type in a grade, all of that, view rubrics, all that. But this document, the student sent without having to ever put it on paper, or ever download it to their local hard drive, except through a OneDrive sync. And there they've just submitted it to an assignment in Canvas, because Canvas and Office 365 are linked together. And finally, one last thing you can do in Canvas with your Office 365 integration is to, let's go back to the, let's go back to this course here and go back to the course menu. And you have an option, which you may or may not have made visible to students in your course menu, called collaborations. You may or may not have used this before, but collaborations is a way that you can create. You're most welcome, Rosalia. You can set up collaborations between students, or with you, between you and students. Collaborations are shared documents. You can set this up for students, and they don't have to create the document and share it with a peer by themselves. You can set up a document and then give a student, or give students or a group of students access to that document, and they can work on it collaboratively. You do that by adding a collaboration, and you can add collaborations in Google Apps or in Office 365. Since our students all have access to 365, we'll pick that. I can set up a Word document, an Excel spreadsheet, or a PowerPoint presentation. I have to give it a name. I could call it Fred if I wanted to. Let's see, this is 919. So I don't get confused later. I can give the file a more complex or more complete description optionally. And then I can look at the people who are enrolled in this course. I can only do this for people who are enrolled in this shell. And I can just click on them, and it moves them over to the group here for that I want to have access to this collaborative document. That's enough. And then if I scroll to the bottom, I save this collaboration. It shows up in my list of collaborations here. That's the one I just created there. And if now I log in as one of the students with whom, to whom I've assigned, or one of the students I have assigned to this collaboration, like that test 1 student. There he is, there's Rocky. And Rocky is in this same course, the tutorial sandbox. And if I click on collaborations, well, apparently I've put the test 1 student in all of the collaborations I've created so far, but here's the one I just created. And there it is. and the student gets access to that collaborative file. It has to load it in a new tab, but there it is. It's a blank PowerPoint presentation. So the student can start working on the presentation. Like you can pick a background. Okay. And maybe, oh, I like that one. Rubber duckies. I hadn't seen that one before. Apparently animated. That's pretty cute. Okay, sorry. Shiny. Don't get distracted. Now, if I log in as me or as another student to whom I've assigned this collaboration, and go to that same this is me in that same course, and go there. Load that in a new window. Bingo. There's that work that the test student has done. If I make changes to it, bring the other student back up. Here's this is the student, and there it is. It might have to catch up, but not, might have to hit catch up, but maybe not. This tells the student that DG, me, made that change. And if the student adds a subtitle, and I go back now to my view of it, there it is. So we're working together on this. We don't have to do it all at the same time. The document will save those changes will save automatically, see? Saved to OneDrive automatically. And the sharing and so on is all set up automatically for you, and you don't have to do it in Office 365. And the students to whom you assign this file can work on it simultaneously or on their own time. And you can go in and take a look at it and collaborate, maybe add a little hint or something like that, or help out a little bit. And everybody gets to work together. It's group work, which is, of course, the holy grail of pedagogy, because people learning to work in teams learn more. They complain more too, but they learn a lot more, and they learn how the world of work really operates, where they're almost certain to be working in teams in the real world. So that's it. That's what I had for you today. 3 minutes over, sorry about that. We've had a lot of good questions. Let me check on the chat tool here to see if there's anything I haven't answered. And then I'll be happy to take any other questions that you have. I suppose I should. Yeah. No, let's just pull up the lake and see how things are going toward the end of the day here in Idaho. And let me look. Let's see. Okay. I downloaded software from my home Mac and now I can't find it from my work Mac. I don't know why that would happen. I can log in online from work. The only thing I guess is that your work Mac you might not be logged into your work Microsoft account on your work Mac. But if that gets to be a recalcitrant issue, please send me an email and let me know, and I'll be happy to get together on a one-on-one Zoom session, and we'll troubleshoot that and find out what the heck Microsoft is doing to you. And I will have a great deal of sympathy for you, because Microsoft certainly messed me over a few times as well. Can you share your screen? I think I did. There's the slide deck for the seminar. Found the link. I opened the PowerPoint, but the links don't work. You have to, I know you have to be logged into your Microsoft Work account in order for those links to work.
Yeah, but what I did is I opened up a read only. So I found
Oh,
out.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I found out. Thank you.
Okay, good. Okay, thank you. Thanks for letting me know. I'm still navigating this too. And I've had that complaint before when I've shared that document with people. If any of you who are still with us here have any trouble accessing that PowerPoint slide deck, just send me an email and I'll send you a copy of it. Okay.
Yeah, what I did is I copied and pasted into a Word document, and then I was able to
You
enter
were
it on
able
that.
to- Okay, that's a neat workaround. I like that. Yep, same path. Your Microsoft account password is your email, district email password, or your same thing as your portal password. DDD. And boy, that's a really good question, BB, about whether, and I don't think BB is still with us, but whether if you have multiple Microsoft accounts with different districts, are they going to sync, or do you have to log in and out to get the different? I'm afraid the unfortunate case is that probably in order to access your OneDrive from, say, Southwest, you probably have to log into that account to get to it. I don't think there's any way to knit those together, but I will find out. Okay. I think I've answered most of these. Can people who have their own programs collaborate using this? Absolutely. And that's it. Oh, caught most of those on the fly. I must have had just enough coffee before starting this today. I'm not usually quite that rapid on that. But how about some more questions about this first, and then I'll take questions on anything. If you came in late and you just wanted to ask a question about something else, that's fine too. But let me ask first if there are any more questions about Office 365, accessing it at the district, and using it with Canvas. Just unmute yourself and speak up. Yeah, I agree, Kenna. This is a really powerful collaborative shared system.
It's just amazing.
And what's really amazing is that Microsoft is effectively giving it to the students. That's why they have access to the full version, because Microsoft's trying to make customers out of them. Microsoft, some pretty smart people in marketing at Microsoft, so they want the students to use those. And it just gives them unprecedented power and something they don't have to pay for.
Yeah, it's great. Thank you so much. I have to go.
Oh, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
A fair amount of my storage are images for visual art.
Right.
And so I'm really contemplating whether or not to take my extensive files, visual files, into this system.
Into OneDrive. Yeah.
Right.
And I, of course, retaining control of your content is one concern. I hear you. When you say extensive, the images could be quite a large chunk of files.
Right.
Do you have any idea what the total file storage space is on those? Or
I've been teaching almost half a century. Let's put it that way. So I have a lot of visuals. And I do have them really scattered Yeah.
scattered
over
about,
two
you know,
yes. And so
which is a
I'm
recipe for disaster in and of itself.
right. I am
Yeah.
consolidating them. And so now suddenly this system presents itself as perhaps the place to at least I think what I may try to do is just archive the images for one course presentation.
Yeah, try
See how
that
that
for
goes.
starters and see how it goes. I
And is
really
there-
don't think you have to worry about anybody running off with your images from here.
I'm not so concerned about that. I just don't want to well, I don't think I'll lose them because I'll probably keep a dual set.
Of course. Well, no, but I mean, lose control of them.
Oh,
And
and that
somebody
too, and that
spike
too.
one
And
you find it showing up on the internet or something like that. Nobody ever paid for it.
well, that's a thought. Yeah.
That's one thought that occurs to me, but there should be no way for that to happen. Though, of course, you know, hackers can do all sorts of stuff, but they'd have to have access to your information somehow, and they're not going to hack Microsoft. So unless they got it from you somehow by, you know, tricking you into giving them access to your OneDrive, I don't see any likelihood that you'd lose control of those images. Now, 50 years worth of images, you could well have more than a terabyte of data. So you might have to be selective in what you decided to store on OneDrive. This images that you're working with currently or whatever would probably be a good way to limit that. And but it
that's
should
good to
be a
know.
very convenient way. Now, realize that it is going to take some time. If you decide to upload a bunch of these images, a folder at a time to OneDrive, it may take some hours for them to synchronize everywhere. So it's probably something you want to do before you go to bed one night and let your computer and your internet connection take care of that while you're asleep. It just depends on how many images you want to put up at one time. And maybe the easiest way to do this, if you have the images stored on your local computer, is just to bring up your file manager, whether it be, let's see, get rid of your file manager, whether it be File Explorer in Windows or the Finder in the Mac, and just go to wherever you have those images stored on your computer. Like I got tons of pictures here, and let me just grab a few of them, random. I can just copy those, right-click, copy, and paste them to my OneDrive, which will appear here as a destination in my file manager. I can bring that up. I can make a folder in my OneDrive right from within Windows File Explorer or the Finder in the Mac. Let's call it pictures from hard drive. And then I can just paste those in here. They go, it looks like they go in instantly. Well, they were small enough. They're already synchronized. They're everywhere.
Oh. Oh.
Um,
Wait,
so
that was
that's
fast.
the easiest way to get them into OneDrive, is just paste them. Are you a Mac person or a PC person?
I'm a Mac person, so when
Mac
you're
person, you'd
talking
use the
about
Finder.
right click, that's a little strenuous for me.
Right, control click, right.
Yeah.
And sorry about that, but
No.
that's an easy way to do it. The one drawback with the Mac is that you will have to load the OneDrive app manually, probably. It's probably not already on your Mac. So you
Oh,
got to
good
go
to
to the,
know.
pardon?
That's good to know.
Yeah, you'll have to go to the Mac App Store
Uh-huh.
and just search for OneDrive. It's in there. It's free. And load it in the usual way. And then that will automatically put a OneDrive item in your Finder. And then when you enter OneDrive the first time, you'll have to log into your Microsoft account. And then you'll have access to your whatever's in your OneDrive at onedrive.com. And then you'll be able to manipulate it in the same way I'm doing here. And you can just copy stuff from your Mac right into OneDrive, and then it will be available in OneDrive. And if you have you have OneDrive on your iPhone or OneDrive on your iPad, it'll be available there too. So, and you can access it from Canvas, as we saw, and all that. And these things, everything has access to that same pool of cloud storage. If you have any trouble getting that set up on your Mac, please let me know.
Thank you.
And I will help with that, because I've had to set it up on mine.
Oh.
And that would probably be a good tutorial.
Okay.
That's something I should put on our Open On Demand site, because we definitely try to look after our Mac folks.
I think the art departments, I mean, decades ago, we were taxed with providing Mac literacy for art majors as they transferred. Now, of course, it's fairly moot in that the systems are interchangeable, but it really did put us on campuses as really working within a different system.
And I
But thank you.
usually present from my PC, because it's a beast of a machine, where I've just got a little Mac Mini over here, so that I have access to that world. So I probably need to make some tutorials dealing with that specifically. So I'll work on that. But if you have any trouble, let me know. I'll be happy to work with you to get through it.
Thank you.
We can meet on Zoom. You can share your screen, and we can troubleshoot our way through it.
Wonderful. I think I'm going to start into this with just syllabi and documents, and
Right.
today was,
Yes, toe dip.
I'm so grateful. Your information is so pivotal, and really empowering. I'm encouraged to step into this system, which had been giving me a bit of trepidation. So thank you.
Me too. These having to get to know it better in order to be able to hold these seminars has been a great help to me too. Early on, when I first started playing with this, I lost a couple of files that I could have sworn I put into OneDrive, and I didn't. I don't know where they went. So that hasn't happened to me lately. So that I think you get better with it with practice. Well, thanks so much for coming.
Thank you, Dave. It's amazing. But I have one question. If
Absolutely.
is done, it's not. It's about the assignment submission.
Sure.
Today we had an exam, and I told students to take a picture of it, showing your work, and I, put JPEG, JPEG, and PNG, and
Right.
then I put doc, and PDF as a side too. But
Right.
then I had out of 40 students, I had 3 students saying they have a hard time trying to upload Google Doc.
Oh.
And so is there any, so those 3 students ended up sending their work with attachment to my email. School email.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is there something that I have to do for them to be able to?
Well, if you want to open yourself up to accepting things other than PNGs, JPEGs, and PDFs,
right,
you just don't restrict file types when you set up the assignment.
Oh, I will not be able to handle all that, right?
But then you don't know what you're going to get.
Exactly.
You may or may not be able to open it. It may not be very convenient for you.
Right.
So I would,
right.
I would
I'm sorry.
try to counsel those students
Huh?
And
But what they're saying is that one person was saying they're trying to upload the doc, which I allowed, and one person says trying to upload the PDF, which I allowed, and one person using Google Doc.
right. So, yeah, it's hard to know. There are a number of different ways students might not be able to make that work. But I do have something that might be useful for you to send to them. I believe I do. Let me see if I can find it. On our open on demand site at SDCCD.olpid.org, which students have access to as well. And there's a student section.
Right.
But the best thing to do is search for let me think. Image upload. Let's see if that's it. Yeah. Uploading images or video to a Canvas assignment from your Android smartphone or tablet, and uploading images or videos to a Canvas assignment from your iPhone or iPad.
Oh, okay.
These are video tutorials that show them on, that show the screens on Android and iOS devices and show step by step how to take a picture that they've got in their pictures file and upload it to a Canvas assignment. These were designed for just the situation you mentioned, where students were asked to take a picture of something and submit it to a Canvas assignment. Taking a picture of their work on a piece of paper being a classic application of this. These two are in the student, they're accessible to students. And let me, if you got just a second, I'll put those links in the chat tool for you. And you can tell which one is which from the link. It's readable.
These tutorials have been pivotal for the art students who make their artwork with materials and then translate the images. So thank you for providing them.
Well, thank you for the idea. And I'm always open. If there's something that your students are having trouble with that I can create a tutorial to help with, I love to do it because that just makes this site more useful. So please feel free to let me know when you're having difficulty like that. And I will be happy to create I'll put that on my list of tutorials to create, just like I did just now with the one about loading OneDrive onto the Mac. Okay, those are I just put both of those links in the chat tool, and you can share those with your students directly, or you can send them. Well, yeah, I would recommend rather than making them search for it, I'd send it to them direct.
Yeah, exactly.
But,
well, thank you so much. I really
okay, I hope that will help.
Yeah, it's amazing, Dave, how you kind of open up a new seminar, help us to learn new things. It's very challenging and it's amazing,
Well, we've been working at this.
With your age, amazing. Yeah, I wish I could be like that.
That's very sweet. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much,
If
Dave.
I were still employed, I'd ask you to talk to my boss. I appreciate it.
Thank you again, Dave. Have a good evening.
Oh, thanks for coming. Without you all, I wouldn't get to do this. So thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.